everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, back again with another lovely slice of news. Now, you may have seen Tom's news story earlier on today on this very channel, and if you haven't, I would highly recommend you give it a watch because he goes into the whole WWE being deemed an essential service thing by Florida and the potential reasons behind that. Very interesting and potentially controversial stuff. But the news doesn't stop coming, so right now we have another set of juicy headlines to get through. Let's take a look at them right now. First of all, a top WWE star will be off SmackDown for several months. Next, we have an update on AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view. And finally, a current champion within WWE has responded to Ronda Rousey's recent comments. Now, last week, Dave Meltzer reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that WWE have no idea when Roman Reigns is set to come back. Now, if you missed all this news, basically what happened was Roman Reigns pulled out of WrestleMania 36. He was scheduled to be in a title match against Goldberg, but he dropped out because, well, for entirely sensible reasons really. He has a compromised immune system due to his battles with leukemia over the years, and given the current ongoing global situation, he would have been at higher risk had he been in contact with a lot of other people, which I think you can fairly say that WrestleMania 36 would have put him at a higher risk. But Roman Reigns will indeed return, and apparently WWE has been proceeding with that in mind, so don't be too surprised if whenever he does return, he is thrust back into that Universal title picture. He was, of course, replaced by Braun Strowman in that match, and then Strowman beat Goldberg in an upset to many people, I think, and is now the new Universal Champion. Well, today we have a little bit of a time frame to work with because Paul Davies of WrestlingNews.co reached out apparently to a friend of Roman's who said that we won't see him back in WWE for a few months. Or should I say more accurately, at least a few months. It's one of those stories that really we can only follow and guess more accurately at when we know more about the global situation, because we're not going to know when Roman's likely to return before we know how likely things in general are going to return to normal. However, this apparent friend of Roman's did say to Paul Davis of WrestlingNews.co that he'll be out for at least a few months. Now, usually this sort of news I think would be cause for concern for WWE. You know, one of their top stars, maybe their biggest modern day full-time roster member, having to be gone for a few months due to health issues that basically you just can't get around. It's just the only correct decision for Roman to make. However, I think currently this is probably like one of the least of their worries given the ongoing struggles with everything that's going on. I think that the absence of one superstar probably isn't too big a concern given the fact that everything is basically having to be put on the hold or booked on the fly, or just things are up in the air, guys. Things are very up in the air. Speaking of things being changed or cancelled or modified at the last second, AEW have put an update out there on social media regarding their upcoming Double or Nothing show. Double or Nothing will be the 1-year anniversary show of AEW, their first official show as a promotion. But it wasn't all in, that was before AEW was really a company, that was more just Cody and the Bucks doing their thing. But once Tony Khan got involved and AEW was properly set up, that's when Double or Nothing happened in Las Vegas last year. This was set to be Double or Nothing 2, again in the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, and yeah, it would have been their second big Double or Nothing show, or the 1-year anniversary. And that show is indeed going ahead. It's scheduled to take place still on May 23rd. However, it's not apparently scheduled to take place in Las Vegas. I think carrying on with that show in a public place in the MGM Grand as soon as May 23rd would have been a bit of an optimistic shout for AEW, and I think this is probably quite a pragmatic and sensible decision. But then when one criticism applies to WWE, and many people feel that WWE should not be running any sort of shows at this current time, it has to apply to AEW as well. You know, we can't really sit here and criticize WWE for doing one thing while praising AEW for doing another. So many people will indeed have an issue probably with Double or Nothing going ahead, regardless of whether it's in an empty arena or not. Apparently AEW will release updates about Double or Nothing in the near future, but there's already a lot of speculation that they could hold the event in Florida because now wrestling, as you'll see in Tom's video, has been deemed an essential business, or at least WWE has, but how can that apply to one wrestling promotion and not another? I don't really know. Check out Tom's video and he explains it a lot better than me. This announcement also apparently applies to the subsequent Dynamite, the Dynamite that was going to take place on the Wednesday after Double or Nothing. However, what does this mean for people who've already bought tickets to Double or Nothing in Las Vegas? Well, apparently they can be refunded at the point of purchase, or you can kind of delay that, put that on hold, and attend the event next year. That's because AEW have already rescheduled the show that was meant to happen in Las Vegas, so Double or Nothing is still taking place, but there'll be another show, presumably another Double or Nothing, next year on May 29th, 2021. As for this year's Double or Nothing, a lot of the card remains to be seen, really. The only match I think that's been announced is the final of that TNT Championship tournament, but then again, we don't know either of the men who are going to be in that final. Cody's still in the tournament, Lance Archer's in there, he's a pretty big contender as well, if he can get past that devious Colt Cabana in the first round, which he almost certainly can. There's a few people in there, Darby Allin's still in there of course as well, so there's many different possibilities, but apart from that, the card is pretty much a mystery. Now, Ronda Rousey has recently had a lot of things to say about WWE and professional wrestling. She's been saying a lot of stuff about how it's fake, about how she never wants to go back there. She had things to say about the fans and the response that she got, and quite a lot of controversial stuff. So controversial and so brazen, in fact, that there's already been a lot of debate whether it's shoot real comments or whether it's a work, and it's going to lead to a storyline of her getting back into WWE and having another run, presumably at some kind of title. And you'd think it would be a Becky Lynch's title, right? Now, those comments did provoke a lot of response from superstars within WWE, and one of them, Alexa Bliss, the current, or one half of the current WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, has spoken about them in an interview with CBS Sports. Bliss said, "I like Ronda, we've always gotten along, it was just the use of the word fake." Ronda called wrestling fake a lot, especially because we welcomed Ronda with open arms. We all wanted to see her succeed, we wanted to make an amazing story with amazing matches while meshing both styles of WWE and UFC together. She goes on, the thing is, you're only as good as the person you're in the ring with. When you kind of bash the fans who are always really supportive and say what we do is fake, it's kind of disrespectful when we were so respectful of what she did coming in and we were respectful of her in WWE. So to say what we do is fake is really unfair. If she comes back to WWE, great. We'd all love to work with her again, I'm sure. Just limit the use of the F word. Very diplomatic stuff from Alexa there, regardless of whether Ronda's comments are a work or a shoot. It works both ways. If Ronda's comments were real and her real feelings, then I think Alexa's dealt with that in a very calm and mature manner. If Ronda's comments were a work and they were to lead to a storyline of her returning to WWE, Alexa's comments could also be used to fuel a storyline towards a match between the pair. Great job, Alexa, whether it was intentional or not. Now, Raw ratings have been bad recently, it's no secret, for a variety of factors. You know, the empty arena stuff can't help, but also it seemed to be quite shockingly low, even given the circumstances, because it's WrestleMania season, or it was certainly WrestleMania season. There was a bit of a rise last week as Raw pulled 2.1 million viewers, but there's been a bit of a drop again this week as the Raw ratings are now down to around 1.9 million viewers. This is kind of back to where it was 2 weeks ago, even slightly below that really, so you could say that the WrestleMania boost effect, well, first of all, wasn't that big, and secondly, hasn't really sustained. I hope that this isn't taken out on some of the people who got big results at WrestleMania. Like, this isn't an indication that nobody believes in Drew and blah blah blah, because it's not. It's more to do, I think, with the ongoing circumstances and the fact that even though Raw could be put together with the best of intentions, the show is always going to suffer because there's less personnel to use, there's no atmosphere because of the empty arena, and they're generally having to do things on the fly as and when they hear about the status of various members of the roster. It's almost like they should just stop running shows, but I'm no expert, who am I to say? And finally, let's talk about being the elite. The elite. Now, last weekend, the Young Bucks announced that there will be 3 episodes of Being the Elite going up this week in preparation for their 200th episode celebration. Now, 1 episode went up on Tuesday, and there was a lovely backyard Royal Rumble on a tennis court, which featured some stars of AEW such as SCU, the Young Bucks themselves. Oh, the librarian Peter Avalon was there as well. But the winner of the Royal Rumble was Nick Jackson. Now, the stipulation here is that the winner of the match would get to main event the 200th episode of Being the Elite in a match of their choice. And because Nick won, he chose a match against his brother Matt in an Anywhere Goes match. Sounds like a bit of a no DQ, falls count anywhere kind of brawl to me. I'm sure they'll be battling all around their house and stuff, and we'll probably find a way to make it entertaining, because it's the Young Bucks and it's what they do. And it's so annoying if you don't like them. I do like them, but if I didn't, I'd be so annoyed right now. There could also be bad blood in this match because Nick eliminated Matt at the end of the Rumble with a gnarly German suplex right on the apron, and Matt didn't look too happy about it. So, We'll see where it goes from here. And I'll be interested to see if this tension bleeds over into the canon storylines, I suppose it's fair to say, of AEW, of Dynamite, and so on. It could. We've seen things from being the Elite bleed over before, but then again, it could just be a joke and we could go all back to normal when it's all said and done. Thanks very much for watching. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. I'll give you a match recommendation. Why not? But you know what? Why not just watch Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss from SummerSlam 2018? Why not watch that because of what we've talked about just before? It's not a long match, but it certainly is a fun one. And it was the match that helped us get victory in that lovely predictions contest, if you remember rightly. Now, thanks once again for watching. Hang tight, everyone. Hope everyone's doing okay, and I'll catch you in a bit.